How to Be Unique. Bullet Train. I'm just kidding. I'm a degenerate movie reviewer. So, I watched Bullet Train this past weekend, and before I went into it, I had to look up the reviews. And what did I see? This movie is Brad Pitt's worst movie. But guess what? There is one thing that can silence all the critics and all the haters, and that one thing is an extremely attractive, drop-dead, gorgeous middle-aged man. And let me tell you something, Brad Pitt pulled out his cock and jizzed all over the haters.
I could have said I got hit in the balls by Brad Pitt, and they're like,
Because despite what Colin Carbonaro said, this movie is very good. Now, I'm not saying this movie is a masterpiece or whatever, but what I am saying is that this movie is very good. I know. Sound the alarms. This is the first thing on my channel that I have watched that I haven't wanted to eat dog shit after. Well, I guess Nope didn't want to make me eat dog shit, but like, it did make me want to eat like squirrel shit, you know, like a smaller quantity of shit. I love movies that have the same basic formula as every blockbuster movie, like a James Bondish, Mission Impossible type movie, but really do their own thing with it. And that is exactly what this movie does. This movie should have been some basic, stupid spy blockbuster movie, but instead, this movie had the same exact formula, but still felt extremely unique. And no, okay, I can already see you writing in the comments, you just like this movie because you want Brad Pitt to be your sugar daddy. And while I do want Brad Pitt to be my sugar daddy, it's not just because of that. It's because of 4 things. Number 1. The themes of the movie. I know my channel is supposed to be a degenerate channel made for people that want to see me grab Kathleen Kennedy and publicly execute her in the town square, but just bear with me right here as I talk about a little thing called a theme. Now, the main themes of this movie are themes of luck and fate, and this is really the strong suit of the movie, because if there's one thing I hate, if there's one thing I despise, it's having to watch completely absurd things happen for the sake of being in a blockbuster movie. Now, in this movie, it's completely different. I'm not even questioning how the fuck Brad Pitt gets bitten by a snake on a bullet train in Japan. Oh shit, here we go. What was it in Japan? Am I gonna get canceled again? I know every Asian country isn't the same, bro. Please be in Japan. Let's go! I live to see another day. I'm not questioning how people are dying in extremely absurd ways or any of that, because that is what the movie is fucking about. This movie is about 2 people having polar opposite sides of luck. One having extremely good luck, and the other having extremely bad luck, and what those 2 things really mean. And on top of that, this movie doesn't just rely solely on luck and fate for these absolutely absurd things to be happening. There's a reason why there's a snake on a train in fucking Japan. There's a reason why all these spies are on this train and why they're all trying to kill each other. This movie ties up its loose ends. It doesn't just fucking throw a loose end out into the void and then never talk about it again. I'm looking at you, Kathleen.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Alright, I'm going a little too hard on Kathleen. It's not her fault, okay? It's Mickey Mouse's fault. Fuck you, Mickey Mouse. 95% of this movie is absurd, extreme, chaotic comedy. But the 5% that isn't a comedy deals with luck and fate in an extremely interesting and unique way. And that brings us to our second point. Number 2. The soundtrack. Now, as you guys know, my dick gets hard for a good soundtrack, and as you also know, my dick gets soft for a bad soundtrack. And also, I have to say, I'm not a big fan of movies incorporating regular songs into their soundtracks, especially when it isn't a James Gunn film. However, this movie basically only has regular songs for its score, and it knocks it out of the fucking park. I mean, come on, tell me this shit isn't a vibe. this movie somehow has a disco song, a country song, a Mexican and American folk song, a Japanese heavy EDM song, multiple pop songs, and I found myself still somehow loving the soundtrack. The songs fit the movie absolutely perfectly, and it contributes to a unique vibe that this movie gives off. And it's also crazy how just changing the setting and location of a movie give it so much more personality and flavor. We're not in some boring basic mansion or some stupid casino. We're on a bullet train in fucking Japan. The train honestly doesn't even feel like a setting. It feels like an actual character in this movie. And the train makes this movie feel more chaotic, and that is a good thing for this movie. But let's talk about something that is also a good thing in this movie, but also a bad thing in this movie. Let's talk about the comedy in this movie. Now, I have to admit, this movie made me laugh more than almost any other movie that I have seen this year, maybe besides Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I mean, you can't compare this to Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, that's like the time I fought my 5-year-old cousin. I mean, that kid got fucking destroyed. The comedy in this movie, for the most part, works extremely well. I've seen this movie twice, and I've laughed my ass off both times. However, the comedy at times is a little overdone. And that's why, for me, the brother dynamic between Lemon and Tangerine did not really work. This movie does not take itself seriously, and so it's extremely hard to take the brother dynamic seriously between Lemon and Tangerine. I mean, for God's sakes, I sound like a mentally disabled 12-year-old talking about fruits. I mean, how does this movie expect me to see Brad Pitt blow drying his hair in a goddamn toilet one scene, and the next scene feel emotional for these two brothers because one of them like died or something? This also might just be me being an absolute psychopath, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. And don't get me wrong, okay, I loved both of their characters, but I don't think their brother dynamic was handled well. But let's talk about one thing that this movie fucking sucks at, and that is the advertisements.
Okay.
Listen, I understand that some movies need advertisements for the movie to get made in the first place. I mean, for God's sake, if someone or anyone offered me an advertisement, I would take it. I don't give a fuck who it was or what kind of product they're trying to sell. Pay me $2 and I will take your advertisement and run with it. But my God, this movie does not hide its advertisements. There is literally an entire 3 minutes of this movie dedicated to a Fiji water bottle. We literally have to pause the climax of this entire movie to follow a Fiji water bottle. We spend 3 minutes following this water bottle, and at the end of it, you know what happens? Some Asian guy throws it at another Asian guy. That is the payoff for following the life of this Fiji water bottle mid-climax. But I also don't want to shit on this movie too much because I genuinely enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the overall vibe of this movie, I enjoyed the subtle uniqueness, and I definitely enjoyed seeing the gorgeous, luscious locks and ripped forearms of Brad Pitt.
Really in the mood of watching myself for the next 2 hours.
And also, in all seriousness and in the least homosexual way I can possibly manage, Brad Pitt's character and charisma is what really carries this movie. His character being a woke assassin riddled with anxiety attacks and extreme bad luck is what makes this movie absolutely hilarious. Alright, time to rate the first movie I finally enjoyed on this channel. Brad Pitt and Bullet Train gets an 8 out of 10. This is a very good movie. It's not a great movie, but it's a very good movie. And if your options are watching either this movie or Thor: Love and Thunder, hang yourself before you watch Thor: Love and Thunder. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, this is quite literally my 6th video on my channel, so subscribe if you want more degenerate reviews of movies. And join me next time where I'm probably going to be discussing either She-Hulk or the new Game of Thrones show, or some other shitty fucking movie. Peace. Publicly execute her in the town square.
I could have said I got hit in the balls by Brad Pitt.
Really in the mood of watching myself for the next 2 hours.
That kid got fucking destroyed.